When we perceive that we don't have the ability or the resources to cope with the demands that are being placed upon us, then this causes a physiological, neurological, psychological reaction, adverse reaction in our bodies, stress. I mean, stress occurs when we feel that we don't have the ability or the resource to cope with the demands that are being placed upon us. Whether we like it or not, stress is a real problem in life and in the workplace. The labour force study of last year showed that in the UK, 44% of all UK employees had said that they'd suffered from or were suffering from work-related stress, depression, and anxiety. 57% of all working days lost last year were attributable to work-related stress, depression, or anxiety. Cost the UK economy £4 billion. The UK Health and Safety Executive estimate that for one individual, one of you here, suffering from work-related stress, depression, or anxiety will cost your business or the business £16,000 because of presenteeism, because of absenteeism, because of reallocation of training, of tasks and responsibility to other members of staff and retraining of those. Recruitment if the individual leaves and you have to bring new staff in, and then more in-house training. The problem is, in today's world, and it's going to continue, our brains have not developed quick enough to deal with the overload of information, technology, and the demands that are now being placed upon us. There are more stressors in the workplace today than there have ever been in the entire history of humankind. What was supposed to actually become more efficient is actually becoming a greater burden for us, because airports now expect you to actually get your own boarding pass, to weigh your own luggage. It seems good at the time, but actually this is all adding more and more information and stress upon us. Contextualizing the words of the author Tom Clancy, stress is a clear and present danger. I mean, okay, the threat has changed. We're no longer fighting saber-toothed tigers in forests, okay, but we are still grappling and fighting with mountains of emails and decisions that we make. The threat has changed, but the way the brain corresponds or deals with that threat has remained exactly the same. UK businesses, I don't know if you may know this already, but you're under an obligation to protect your employees from stress in the workplace by carrying out a risk assessment and acting upon it. Okay, why? Why am I interested in the brain and the mind? Well, it's all because of what happened to me on the 4th of July, 2009. And so I'm leading B Company 2 Mersin in a fight against the Taliban as part of the largest British ground offensive operation ever to have taken place there. 165 soldiers, and we are expected to meet an enemy of about 350. So we're expecting a tough fight, and we're going to be out there for many, many days. Temperatures in the summer in Afghanistan exceed 50 degrees centigrade. It's one of the hottest places in the world. But we're not there in our shorts and flip-flops, but we're wearing combat boots, combat trousers, combat shirts, knee pads, elbow pads, protective gloves, protective or helmet, protective goggles, protective ear defense, body armor, a weapon system, pouches containing grenades, smoke grenades, ammunition, spare ammunition, command equipment, a day sack containing radio, batteries, spare batteries, some food, at least 3 liters of water, medical equipment, maybe a spare pair of pants and a spare pair of socks. But what is important within all of that is a toothbrush and toothpaste. The average weight we carried out on operations in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places now is 55 kilograms, 8.5 stone, 120 pounds. So it's hard work. We've been fighting for several hours, thankfully no casualties, but it was slow going, slow process. And then after we've had a rest, we continue. The blast destroyed my tactical headquarters. It knocked my forward air controller away unconscious, my radio signaller away unconscious, my company sergeant major away unconscious. The shockwave from the blast, traveling at 1,500 miles an hour, ruptured through both of my eardrums, destroying them. Shrapnel from the blast, traveling at 2,500 miles an hour, smashed through the back of my skull, through my cerebellum, with 2 pieces stopping a millimeter away from my brainstem. And I'm thrown over there somewhere. And I'm found with my radio antenna embedded in the back of my skull. Thankfully, for me, I have no memory of talking to my company sergeant major. My last one is watching that helicopter carrying away my dead and injured soldiers. No memory of talking to company sergeant major Paul Muckle, no memory of the explosion that killed Lance Corporal Dennis, and no memory for the next sort of about 3.5 weeks, complete amnesia. The shrapnel. They're only tiny pieces, but when they're traveling at 2,500 miles an hour, it can make a difference to the brain. Those 2 pieces, which stopped a millimeter, they're still in there. It's too dangerous to take them out. But the brain impairments I've been left with, it's not to do with the force of the blast. It's not around here, the cerebellum. It's because it's here, the right frontal lobe. It's because of the kinetic energy smashes the brain forwards into the confines of my skull, and I suffered severe internal bruising to my right frontal lobe. The right frontal lobe, on everyone. This is the network. This is a part of the brain that deals with what they call executive function skills. So that is planning and organizing, problem solving, making decisions, all those sort of activities. And I now struggle with those because a lot of those neural pathways have been destroyed. Not all of them, so I can still plan and organize to a degree, but not to a degree where I have been able to hold down any form of regular employment since my injury 10 years ago. I have some of those neural pathways, but if I want to plan and organize activities and do things, it is exhausting for me. Being here today is exhausting for me. I asked Alexa this morning, how long ago was 4th of July 2009? And she replied 3,804 days of exhaustion. It becomes boring for me at times. If you imagine the brain's 250 kilowatt generator, well, that part of my brain there is running on a 12-volt battery. I'm a Ferrari with a Fiat Panda engine. The emotional part of that brain will try and dominate and control your life. It does. It does it all the time. And the 2 highlighted areas here, this is the amygdala, which is 2 almond-shaped clusters of nuclei within the limbic system. The limbic system is then responsible for survival instincts, for your emotions, and for your memory. The amygdala twins. It is like thing 1 and thing 2 in Cat in a Hat. These 2 little things, the amygdala are in there, and they're playing around with you. They're playing around with your emotions, and they're trying to control and dominate you. And if you let it, they will. They'll cause a lot of mayhem and confusion because they're going to be over and emotional. So what we need to do as individuals is learn how to control the amygdala twins. And we do that by recognizing within ourselves when we are over-emotional. What are the symptoms for when we're over-emotional? And what are the stressors? What are the reasons why we're becoming emotional? And once you do that, then you can target it and calm the twins down. And you do that from bottom up and top down. Bottom up is fairly simple. It's through the survival part of the brain, physiology, and it's just breathing, some simple breathing techniques. We'll send a signal to the twins to calm down. And from the top down, using cognition, using your education, using your experiences, and maybe some activities such as positive thoughts, positive thinking, or mindfulness, again, sends a signal. So you've got these signals coming to your brain to calm it down. And then you can make decisions in a firefight in Afghanistan or in the boardroom when things are getting out of control. Learn how to manage your own